Hello, I am the Irish guy, and yes, it is time. I'm going to go through every Premier League club and find the official worst signing every club has made this season. And I'm going to grade this by how disappointing these signings have been relative to their hype. Right, let's go. Arsenal, Raheem Sterling. When Arsenal signed Raheem Sterling on loan from Chelsea, I thought it was a mega impressive deal. Come on, this is Raheem Sterling, one of the most iconic names in English sport over the last 10 years, and you're borrowing him? Not even paying a transfer fee? Taking advantage of the fact that Chelsea's squad was more overcrowded than a prison in Sunderland. It's not even like Sterling was a 35-year-old past it oaf who had spent the last 3 years eating pork pies for lunch. This isn't someone who's failing every bleep test in sight. This isn't somebody who probably had a mouthful of pizza during his Arsenal medical. No, as far as I was concerned, Sterling was an incredible, opportunistic loan buy who was going to be devastating under Arteta once again, and would flash in 15 goals this season to prove Chelsea wrong. Nope! Instead, he just looks like the sequel to Henrik Mkhitaryan. It's very similar. Both Mkhitaryan and Sterling had already flopped at English clubs, and Arsenal foolishly thought they were going to be the ones to fix them. Arsenal have essentially acted like a naive girlfriend of Chris Brown, someone who looks like he would explode if even slightly burnt his toast. Mkhitaryan was a useless gunner's toad, and Sterling similarly, he has been non-existent. He's been given 3 Premier League starts, hasn't played more than 69 minutes in any Premier League match. Yeah, he was given the early rounds of the League Cup and FA Cup, sure, and started the last 2 Champions League games when the Gunners were already through, but he did nothing, and it's so sad. Sterling is another Rooney. Wonder kids who've been starting in the Premier League since they were 17, and eventually these kind of players just age in dog years. Sterling's 30 is more like 38. And yeah, his next move is surely to Al-Hilal. Aston Villa, Samuel Illing Jr. Aston Villa's January business looks exciting, but their summer shopping looks very confusing. It looks a bit like when your wife goes Christmas shopping for the kids and comes back with a basket of dead flowers, melted Toblerones, and the ear of an elephant. I mean, I'm just guessing. I neither have a wife nor kids. But lads, if I was a Villa fan, then I would have been pumped for the signing of ex-Chelsea winger Samuel Illing Jr. from Juventus for £12 million. I was sure that Unai Emery was going to unleash him on the Villa left wing, considering that we've been hearing all about how this guy, this English mega talent, is the real deal. I mean, when he left Chelsea, he had PSG, Bayern Munich, and Borussia Dortmund sniffing around. He was like Chelsea's version of Jamie Bino Giddens, or what Jadon Sancho used to be. But no, he immediately gets flung off to Bologna on loan, where he's gotten regular minutes in the Champions League. Cool. He even played 15 minutes against Aston Villa, which must have felt stranger than having a baby with your nan. But he could barely buy a minute in Serie A. Then his loan gets cancelled. He's now at Middlesbrough on loan, where he can't even get it to Michael Carrick starting 11. Oh yeah, and Villa have just signed a huge name in Marcus Rashford, who plays in Junior's position. He can also play left back, but guess what? Former Chelsea kid Ian Maatsen has got that position locked down for years now. So Sage is a pointless buy. I mean, Villa have already sold Jadon Philogene, who they bought in the summer. Would not be surprised at all to see Illing Jr. sold this summer without ever having made his Villa debut. Disaster buy. Bournemouth, Julian Araujo. Well, this is a little disappointing. I was really excited about Bournemouth signing 23-year-old Mexico international right back Julian Araujo from Barcelona. Hello? It's Barcelona. So Bournemouth getting him was a coup, but he only started 4 of his first 11 Premier League matches, then smashed his hamstring to pieces in November, and hasn't been seen since. Not great. Brentford, Igor Thiago. Lads, I am tempted, so very tempted, to pick Fabio Carvalho. Come on, this was a £27.5 million signing from Liverpool. This should have been an exciting deal on paper, but he really can't get into Thomas Frank's team. We're at a stage of the season now where he's lucky if he even gets 1 minute on the pitch. It only feels like 5 minutes ago he was beginning life at Liverpool with goals on a regular basis. Now he's more forgotten than Sherlock's career. But the biggest disaster has to be Ivan Toney's replacement, Igor Thiago. He was supposed to be the next Tony. Come on, he's even got the same initials. But this guy is really another Wesley. Remember when Aston Villa paid a club record £25 million to hire Club Brugge's Brazilian goal machine in 2019? He then does his ACL in January, which destroyed his Villa career, and he's now 26 and playing in the Turkish second tier. Igor Thiago is another one. A club record £30 million deal from Club Brugge. Lads, can people stop buying Brazilian strikers from that club? At this stage, Igor, I would just go full Bulgarian. I mean, you have a Bulgarian passport. Go out there and start doing Bulgarian things. Tattoo Berbatov's name on your forehead and I don't know, shove mice down your pants? I don't know, I've never been to Bulgaria. But one thing's for sure, you're never getting a Brazil cap now. First of all, he picks up a horrible knee injury in pre-season, then comes back in November, and then breaks his knee within 3 weeks. And oh yeah, Brentford are scoring for fun without him. The Bees don't need him. Brighton, Matt O'Reilly. Is it harsh to put Matt O'Reilly in here for Brighton? Maybe, because to be fair, he broke his ankle 9 minutes into his Seagulls debut against Crawley Town. He then crawls back from injury to score the winner against Man City in his Premier League debut, but he hasn't been able to force his way into the team, not really. And he did just play 45 minutes as they were crushed by 7 goals against Nottingham Forest. Maybe I'm being harsh, but for somebody who had Juventus and Chelsea sniffing around him last summer, placed with Atalanta, the Europa League champions, made 5 bids for the Celtic gem. They were obsessed, almost to a baby reindeer degree. The whole world was having us believe that this Fulham reject was the next big star. Come on, Juventus earmarked him as the guy to replace Paul Pogba. He had such monster summer hype. You'd swear he was a secret member of One Direction. Chelsea, Joe Felix. Look, Chelsea made a couple of blunders last summer, sure. Although I don't think anybody had high expectations for Kiernan Dewsbury Hall. I think everyone across the planet accepted that he was Drinkwater the sequel. But let's say Joe Felix. I mean, come on. This is Joe Felix, the third most expensive footballer to ever live. Somebody who was once a prodigious world-class talent. Imagine telling him 5 years ago that Felix would rock up Stamford Bridge for not 1 but 2 Chelsea spells. The Chelsea fans would be so excited. They would be full-on squealing into the posh honey nut scones. Look, he was already here on loan under Frank Lampard, but it really doesn't feel fair to judge him off that spell, considering the rest of his teammates were mentally on the beach. Honestly, some of those useless, selfish McNuggets were probably booking their summer trips to Miami during Lampard's team talks. He was like a student teacher trying to get through to the bad kids at school. Felix's loan spell was like Pato's loan spell at Chelsea. 2 unbelievable wonder kids who, while at Stamford Bridge, were about as memorable as the lines of dialogue in a Mr. Bean episode. But the fact that he came back for £45 million for Atletico Madrid in the summer, oh, now he could do this properly, kick on, and establish himself as a Chelsea megastar. Because everyone knows he's got the ability to be 2 Premier League starts. 2. A goal against Wolves on his second debut, and a handful of goals against part-time milkmen in the Conference League. But other than that, brutal. And he's now gone on loan to AC Milan. Oh, he really is the modern day Pato, isn't he? Crystal Palace, Eddie Nketiah. I knew it. I always knew it. That Eddie Nketiah was an overrated slice of toast. And when he was finally given regular first-team football at a mid-table club instead of hiding on the Arsenal bench, we would see that he is a washed-up seagull. Yeah, we're now in February, and he's still waiting for his first Crystal Palace League goal. It is weird. He's got 2 goals in the League Cup, and one of them was at the actual Emirates. What, can he only score in that ground? Is he just like that homesick puppy who only likes to wee on a particular lawn? I mean, forget about being one of the worst signings of the season. For £30 million, Nketiah is looking like one of the worst Premier League transfers of all time. And he's got 4.5 years left in his Palace deal. Can I get a yikes? This guy is just the next Ryan Brewster. Everton, Amanda Broya. Just give up. Everyone give up on Armando Broja. I get it. This Chelsea striker had a positive loan spell at Southampton once, but he had a dreadfully anonymous loan spell at Fulham last season. And somehow, I didn't think it was possible. But this Everton one has actually been worse. Injured for most of the season. He got 5 games across December and January. Didn't score a goal. And David Moyes has actually been trying to send him back to Chelsea. They don't want him back. So honestly, you're probably going to have to stuff him in a bin bag and stuff him through Todd Bowley's letter box with a bunch of takeaway menus, because honestly, he has been a disaster. Fulham, Jorge Cuenca. Was anyone really that hyped for the signing of Jorge Cuenca? To be fair, there's a 25-year-old defender who spent 3 years of his life at Barcelona, and he's got a younger brother, David, who's on the books of Real Madrid. So there is clearly talent in the Cuenca family. Anyway, he swaps Villarreal for Fulham last summer, and he's been anonymous. He's played 4 times. 3 of those were 1-minute cameos. To be fair, he did actually play 90 minutes as centre-back for Fulham as they left Anfield with a point before Christmas, so he did well there, but he hasn't been seen since, just squished under Marco Silva's bench. Pretty disappointing. Ipswich Town, Ariane Muric. When are newly promoted clubs going to stop shoving Ariane Muric in goal? Did nobody see the unforgivable blunders this former Man City goal he made for Burnley last season? Why, what Ipswich Town were thinking? Paying £15 million. It looked nutty. Am I the only one who's always seen that he has got the reflexes of a dead chimpanzee? It's like he plays every match with Nutella on his gloves and his boots on the wrong feet. It is a special type of terrible to be dropped by a Premier League club when there's literally nobody decent waiting in the wings. But that's what happened before Christmas. After a series of displays where he looked like he was playing Crash Bandicoot in his brain instead of concentrating on the match, he gets dumped for Christian Walton. Yeah, ask Brighton and Hove Albion fans what they think of Christian Walton. They had him for nearly 10 years and only gave him 3 chances on the pitch. He was what, their 6th choice goalie? And that is what was relegating Muric to the bench. We have seen Ipswich now go out there and sign Alex Palmer from West Brom, who was excellent at Villa Park at the weekend. If they had signed him during the summer and not this Kosovan sausage, then they would probably be 5 points clear of the relegation zone. Honestly, I think Muric might turn out to be the most costly mistake on the list. Leicester, Oliver Skip. Oh, this was a pretty horror buy. Remember when Oliver Skip looked like a semi-decent Tottenham midfielder coming through? At the very least, the modern day Ryan Mason. So Leicester pitching him for £20 million in the summer looked like a bit of a coup, but no. He has been horrid in a Fox's shirt. I mean, for one of the most expensive players in that club's history, to have spent 9 Premier League matches rotting on the bench for the entire game, including the last 2, that is a terrible sign. Roof and Isler has clearly decided that picking Skip is about as clever as spreading bumblebee poo on your toast. Liverpool Federico Chiesa. Yes, this is another Arthur. No, not that creepy bear who probably watches his sister in the shower. No. Arthur Mello, somebody Liverpool accepted from Juventus's rubbish bin, and he barely played, and now has the Reds' legacy of undigested seaweed pulled out of a seal's stomach. And similarly, Chiesa. It is hard to believe that it's just 3 years ago this Italian winger was seen as one of the best players in the world. I'm sorry. He's just gonna be one of those guys who had a huge world-class reputation before his Liverpool move, but when he got to Anfield, did nothing. Like a Fernando Morientes, a Robbie Keane, a Joe Cole, a Mario Balotelli. Utter class before their Liverpool moves. But yeah, I mean, can you remember a single highlight from any of those guys? I mean, I can, but I have a freakish football memory. And Chiesa has been a joke, just like Arthur, permanently injured. He's played just 25 minutes in the Prem. And lads, he has been fit since mid-December. His only highlight at Liverpool is really going to be scoring against Accrington Stanley. Something I could do. Me! And lads, he's not even on loan. He was a £10 million buy. 10 million. He is your financial burden now until 2028. Who gave him a 4-year contract? Who was it? And do you have a brain no bigger than this orange? Actually, don't answer that. I know you don't. Man City, Ilkay Gundogan. Ilkay Gundogan really should have just stayed away. Come on, he had the perfect Manchester City career. He had the most brilliant Disney goodbye, bowing out as a triple-winning captain after scoring both goals in a famous FA Cup final win over your bitter rivals. There's no better lasting image than that. But no, he decided to come back from Barcelona for free. And to be fair, he's played a lot, so fair play. To have squeezed 34 games out of his legs at 34 so far, that is impressive in itself, considering he used to be really injury-prone. Well, he hasn't been good, and he's been one of the main culprits for them having a truly awful winter, where they lost 9 and 12. Gundogan should have just joined Fenerbahce or Galatasaray instead. Lads, I always get saddened and annoyed when I see legends ruin perfect goodbyes by coming back when they didn't need to. A bit like how I don't want to see Arnold Schwarzenegger doing a Terminator film when he's in a wheelchair at 90 and constantly stinking of poo. I don't even want a Toy Story 5, so Ilkay... Man United, Joshua Zirkzee. Joshua Zirkzee is a flop. He really is. And lads, there was hype for this guy. Considering it took Rasmus Højlund half a year to score his first permanent goal, then there was huge optimism when this £40 million buy from Bologna got off the mark against Fulham less than half an hour into his Premier League debut. He scored in 1 game since. And you know what's crazy? You know what's a damning indictment of the lack of ability in Man United squad? That this extremely ordinary footballer, someone who you assume has just been relegated to the bench at Manchester United, right? Someone who you naturally assume Amorim doesn't rate, considering he dragged him off against Newcastle just half an hour after kickoff. Oh, no, I'm gonna shock you now. Zirkzee has featured in every single Premier League match. There hasn't been a single one where he hasn't been on the pitch. Since the Community Shield, there is 1 game in all competitions where Zirkzee has not played, against Bodo Glimt in November. That's it. He's got 37 games under his belt already, despite being a hideously brutal flop. Wow, like actually... wow. Newcastle, Lloyd Kelly. Look, I hyped up Lloyd Kelly. When Newcastle signed this Bournemouth centre-back for free in the summer, I thought he'd be a first-choice starter. First at centre-back, then at left-back, and forced his way into Thomas Tuchel's England squad. Really, since I made that prediction, and Newcastle left-back has made his England debut, as has the right-back. But neither are Lloyd Kelly. I mean, he played a handful of games at the start, but then was benched. His only 90-minute Premier League match was in a terrible home defeat to West Ham, which really sealed his fate because he squeaked just 4 minutes from the next 12 league matches before being sold, weirdly, to Juventus. Look, Kelly wasn't complete garbage for Newcastle. It wasn't like another boom song. No, because he did play well in a 2-0 home win over Chelsea in the League Cup, where he played the full 90 minutes. That was good. A good highlight. But otherwise, he is going to be one of the most forgettable Newcastle defenders of all time. He really is going to have the long-term Magpies legacy of Zurab Kizajnishvili. Anyone remember him? Kelly is the modern day Fitz Hall. Nottingham Forest, James Ward-Prowse. It's funny, during the summer, James Ward-Prowse looked like a coup. It looked like he was having to downgrade, leaving a sparkling West Ham squad for a relegation battling Nottingham Forest unknown. No, he actually got it mixed up because he joined a Forest team he wasn't good enough for. Look, he had a dream start, don't forget, playing 90 minutes on his debut in a 1-0 win at Anfield. Perfect. But 3 weeks later, he was sent off against Chelsea. Then he struggled to get back in the team, but then he had to play a full 90 minutes in a 3-0 loss to Arsenal. And after that, he was done. Despite being the best free kick taker in the world, oh no, Nuno Santo decided. He made up his mind that he was actually just a bowl of banana bread and sent him back to West Ham. Southampton, Cameron Archer. There's been a lot of disappointing Southampton signings. Let's go with Cameron Archer. I don't know why we're surprised, really. This kid is just repeating what he did last season for Sheffield United, feeding off scraps for one of the worst Premier League sides of all time. I mean, he scored 4 last season. He's got 2 so far and hasn't netted since before Halloween. I feel sad for him because he's got a cool celebration. That should be up there with the Cole Palmer one in terms of marketability, combining his name with a celebration. But he never gets a chance to celebrate and do the Archer celebration because he never actually scores. He's always playing for an awful team. Look, he is probably championship quality, sure. But I just think if he was at a semi-decent team like Crystal Palace, I think he would score more than Eddie Nketiah. I feel bad for him. Tottenham, Wilson, or the Bear. Well, he's been injured since his 3rd Premier League match. One of the most exciting signings of last summer, right? A dazzling young French winger from Burnley. But no, he's barely played. West Ham, Silencio Somerville. I said he'd win the Golden Boot. I said he'd win the Golden Boot! Silencio Somerville. Look, I think I've realized. I've got a soft spot for Somerville, okay? And you know why? Because that was the name of my city's football whipping boys when I was growing up. I used to always score against them because they were terrible. So when I hear the name Somerville, I instantly have happy memories. I associate Somerville with goals. See, I am psychoanalyzing myself here a little bit. I'm trying to find some sort of rationale for why I expected this winger from Leeds to outscore Haaland. Genuinely, I think it's that childhood connection. Even when I close my eyes now, I can vividly remember scoring against Somerville. What a goal! I mean, we beat them 13-0 when I was 16. I scored twice. Should have had a hat-trick. And this guy, championship player of the season last time out, he has 1 goal. 1 goal, that's it! He is 195th in the Golden Boot race. Just another 194 places to go. Useless. Wolves, Andre. Wasn't this guy supposed to be the next Casemiro? The next Gilberto Silva? An absolute Brazil midfield megastar? Yeah, so far for Wolves, he's looked like the next Paulinho. Anyway, that's Stevie. Let me know what do you think. Who has been your worst signing and most disappointing one? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.